Welcome to another episode of Three Men in a War Game. I'm Paul, and I just talked to these guys for 20 minutes and had no idea what they were talking about.
Hi, I'm Kevin. We were talking about Gundam.
Hi, this is Potter, and yes, we were talking about Gundams.
Yeah, I did not necessarily partake in that kind. I enjoyed listening to it. I will say that. I do enjoy hearing other people talk about shit that they love. I think I would love it too, but I will not. My problem is display, and where would I put it?
The sad part is that we weren't recording, so we don't have any kind of like stingers for it. That's the sad part.
That's okay. It's okay. But Paul, what are we talking about tonight?
Tonight we're going to do our year in review, where we talk not about games, but we talk about other things that we saw, read, did, liked.
But awesome games.
And just kind of what we liked about it. Yeah, so, yeah.
Do
one of you guys want to run down the categories that we usually break it down into?
Yeah. We usually talk about, in the past at least, we've talked about movies, we've talked about TV shows, we've talked about books, and we've talked about video games. Did I say board games? Also board games.
Yeah, board games. Kind of the non-miniatures games.
That's right.
And I will have to say that for you, Chops, Flesh and Blood is off the table.
What? I can't mention Flesh and Blood in this whole podcast aside from right now, Flesh and Blood.
Because we all know you like that. And it's a
true.
non-miniatures
it's
game.
Actually
and
what
I
I
know,
got.
and I know, I already know you're going to say it, so it's not surprising. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
You're not allowed to bring up Flesh and Blood. You need to do a board game. You can't do a card game.
Okay, I won't mention.
That's my rule. That's my one rule for this episode.
That seems fair. Let's do it.
All right. So where do we want to start?
Let's do books.
Okay. Potter, then what was your favorite book that you read this year?
Favorite book I read this year was probably Bands of Mourning. By Brandon Sanderson.
Some Sanderson still, huh? Because last year I think we talked about how you tore through all of the Stormlight books.
I did tear through all the Stormlight books except for Rhythm of War because it came out right at the end of last year. I started it, but I decided that my brain needed a break. I don't think I read for probably the first 6 months of this year because I fried my brain going through 3 Stormlight books, 2 Stormlight short stories, the entire Mistborn series, as well as Warbreaker, all in last year.
And Elantris.
No, I went through Elantris the year before.
So many books.
Well,
that's a lot of books.
So I guess here's my question that I'm probably going to follow up on each one of these. What was it that made it your top book for the year?
I really liked the character development that he did in his secondary characters. So I really was enjoying the parallels between Wax and Wayne. And oh god, why is her name splitting my
Milan?
Yes. No, not Milan.
Or Steris?
No, it was Steris' sister.
Oh god, I can't even think of her.
Yeah,
name,
I can't think of her.
Yes.
That's
and that actually kind of fits the character.
Right, exactly. So because that's the trifecta. I'm like, those are pretty much the 3 main characters. I really liked how Milan and Steris were really brought to the forefront. Their characters were really developed a lot more. Like, I was really surprised how much I really liked Steris so much in this book. Like, she came out in like she was a front runner for one of my favorite characters in the book. I really like how this book really opened up and was like, what's going on? Why do these guys know so much about the Greater Cosmere? How do they know all this? And it starts opening up a lot of stuff into the Cosmere, kind of the way that the Stormlights do, which leads me to the second point of like my favorite thing I read this year, which was not a book, but a short story, which was Secret History. which was my absolute favorite thing I read this year, which, for those you know, another Brandon Sanderson thing. It was a short story about Kelsier. So not going to say
spoil it, huh?
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying it's about Kelsier. It's a short story about Kelsier. That's all I'm saying. Leaving it there.
That's fine. That's fine.
So
yeah.
Just leaving it there. So it was interesting. I again really liked. I really liked how he did the character development, how he opened the world up more. I liked how he left things with the cliffhanger for the fourth book that's coming out end of next year. So
hopefully we'll be talking about that because
correct.
Well, it's longer than these.
Yeah, and that was another thing too, was like these were very quick reads. I was able to burn through all three of them. I mean, relatively quickly. I think 2 months. I think I was done with all three books.
Quick reads, 1,200 page books. Come on, man.
No. These are not. Those are like normal books, Chops. They're like 300 pages.
Yeah, these are like 400 page books.
All right.
You got to remember these are about the same length as the novellas for Stormlight Archive.
Okay.
Right, exactly. So that was my favorite book that I read this year. And I did pick up a lot of extra books that are outside of the Cosmere that I'm excited for. I picked up the first book of the Expanse series. I've read the preface. Woo! I'm super excited to get into that. I've not watched the show. I know nothing about it. I'm spoiler free going into this, which is going to be a great experience.
You gotta read that.
Yeah, it's on the next read list. And I picked up also Joe Abercrombie's the first book for his series. Super excited to read into that because I've heard really good things about it, and it's grimdark, which I love grimdark worlds. And then I'm excited about getting back into reading the Witcher world as well too, because I've read the first book of the Witcher world, so I'm excited to start reading those again as well because I absolutely love the Witcher series as well too. So
cool,
awesome,
Potter,
And just think, look at how much Potter has just talked about books, and what 2 years ago he's like, I don't read anymore.
Yeah, I'm actually fine. I'm 5
minutes of books.
In about 2 weeks, I'm probably about to drop $200 on bookshelves for my living room.
These things happen.
Now that's also to help display Gundams. So
yeah, boy.
Spoilers for later on in the episode.
All right, so Chops, how about you? What did you read this year that you thought was the best thing you read?
So I'm not gonna say what I think the best thing I read was, but I am gonna share the two that I feel like maybe don't have enough attention and people should read.
Okay, that works.
So and in the comic book category, it is my favorite thing I read this year. It's called Radiant Black, and so Radiant Black does for the Sentai genre, which is like think Power Rangers, what like Invincible does for superheroes.
Okay.
It takes the like Power Ranger formula and does this very interesting thing with it. I can't say anything more than that, but it's called Radiant Black. It's an Image Comics comic book, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. So that's Radiant Black again. Highly recommended. And so the other thing is a novella that I finished recently called This Is How You Lose the Time War.
Okay.
And This Is How You Lose the Time War is one of the most interesting short books I've ever read. Basically, it's correspondence between two time-traveling super soldiers that are both boasting to each other and forming a very deep connection that they're realizing they can never sort of come over the top of because one of them has to lose. And it's fascinating. Like one of what I'll say is if you're a person who appreciates prose, like, if you're listening to this and I say, do you like books by Raymond Chandler? And you're like, oof, that syrupy, thick language. I love that prose. This Is How You Lose the Time War is definitely a book for you.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out because that actually sounds really fun.
It's very, very cool book.
Awesome.
And that's my two picks.
All right. I did some reading this year, but I guess mine aren't quite as prosy as yours, but I want to talk about the new Star Wars series that they launched back in January, the High Republic.
Mm-hmm.
It's some of the best Star Wars books in my opinion. Just because it's allowed them, because it's 200 years before the prequel, so it's allowed them to be able to really explore the world without any previous weight, right? So there's like really the only thing that they need to work to is forming into the Republic that we see in 200 years later. So it's a very different universe, galaxy than it is later on. And you get to see a very different side of the Jedi, which really brings to light how far they had fallen by the end of the Republic. Just really interesting that way. And they've managed to MCU it a bit, not a bit, but very much MCU it, where like it's multimedia. So it's adult books, young reader books.
Well, a video game now books, too, right? That's the
they just announced the video game.
They announced the video game recently, yeah.
And eventually there's going to be a show about it. So there's a book that's an audio book, and there's a manga for like a it.
Manga,
So it's showing up everywhere. And if you follow all of it and read it in the order that it comes out, you'll see connections, you'll see characters, like the authors of the books, like for each of those like adult, young reader books, there's like characters that are steady throughout, but then to take some of the weight off of the authors, they're writing different level books as well, and they each have characters that they take with them to the different media that they're in. So one guy was involved in the High Republic Adventures comic book. And then when he went to write a young reader's book, he brought the characters into that. And then another author brought some of those characters into one of the young adult books. So it's really fascinating how that's happening. And they've done a really good job of making sure it's all functioning. And you really, even early on in the books, you start seeing things change towards what we know. And it kind of plants that seed of, oh, I kind of see how this is happening now, how we're getting there. So to me, it's just, as a big Star Wars fan, I am just super excited about it because it is, it can do what it wants, right? Like, anytime you read a Star Wars book and it's going into a movie, there's only so much they can do, and it's not very satisfying by the time you get to the end. But I've enjoyed every single one of these books, and the young reader ones have been surprisingly phenomenal.
All right. You're convincing me that I might have to order a couple of these.
Yeah, I mean the first one at the beginning of it does struggle a little bit because it's introducing so much about the galaxy at this point. So in the beginning it's kind of like, all right, we get it. You're just kind of jumping around and introducing things, and then when it hits and lands and kind of gets really into what it's doing, it's pretty good. And you can also tell that book is very influenced by The Expanse.
All right.
Like very influenced. Like I was reading it and I'm like, these guys like The Expanse.
Also a strange thing that the last Star Wars book that I read was actually written by The Expanse writers.
Yep. All right, the Han Solo book. I remember sending you a picture of that in the bookstore, and you're like, I'm buying that.
Yeah, that book kicks ass, by the way. It's a really, really fun book. Well, very exciting little romp.
Yeah, of course it does. Yep. So that's my book. Yeah. All right, so what's next, Kevin?
All right, so we talked about books. Let's talk about television shows, shall we?
Okay.
You want me to go first here, since I'm, I guess, Mr. TV this year?
Yeah, you are.
Your list of shows was redunculous, so yeah, I'm curious how you're even going to pare that down, because it was 85 shows you watched this year?
No, like 30.
95?
A lot, though. Yeah, a lot. Boy, it's really hard for me to pare down the list. So what I want to do is just throw out, I think, like the maybe less obvious, because people who listen to this podcast, they don't need me to tell them that Squid Game was good. They don't need me to tell them that like Midnight Mass was good. Like, those shows are good already. So I want to maybe talk about some of the other ones. So I'll say that the second season, or the second half of the first season of Lupin was this year. And I think that's one of Netflix's best shows. I think Lupin is like a crown jewel in the Netflix catalog. And if you haven't watched it, it's a French show and it is absolutely spellbindingly brilliant. And you should watch it. It's just incredibly good. Another one that I think is worthy of praise, and a lot of people will have probably watched this one. It's Only Murders in the Building. This is a show on Hulu starring Steve Martin and Martin Short. And they are
Selena Gomez, right?
And Selena Gomez. And they're making a podcast about, like, a true crime podcast about a murder that happened in their building. And if you listen to a lot of podcasts, and if you listen to us, I'm assuming you listen to some other podcasts, the amount of in-jokes is just through the roof. Like, even the intro music for the show sounds like an NPR intro music song. It's so good and so well done. So that's Only Murders in the Building. And then another one that I want to, and actually I'm going to say two more, and they're both HBO shows.
Go on.
Yeah, so Mare of Easttown, I think qualifies as my favorite show of the year. And if you haven't watched Mare of Easttown, just go watch probably the best acting you're going to see for the last year, and one of the absolute best whodunit scripts ever in television. It's just, and it's like a bunch of movie stars that are in it too, right? It's incredible, and you should go watch it. Kate Winslet is amazing. And then the second one,
we watched that too. Yeah. That was good. Yep.
And the second one that I want to talk about on HBO is called The Flight Attendant. And The Flight Attendant is an unreliable narrator show. So if you like stories, if you like the unreliable narrator as a storytelling device, this is a magnificent example of unreliable narrator done perfectly. And it's just an anxiety attack every episode. It's so good. So yeah.
I did enjoy that show. It was good.
So those are, and it sucks, right? Because that means I'm not mentioning like the other two. I'm not mentioning Ted Lasso. I'm not mentioning Hacks or Dave or my I May Destroy You or Invincible or Loki. God, Jesus, Loki. Like, there's just so much good TV this year. Or Foundation, man. Anyway, very.
I just
good
started
year for
Loki.
TV.
I thank you for the recommendation.
Loki's good.
I'm 2 episodes in.
We just finished season 2 of The Witcher, and it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's you paring down your massive list that appeared on Facebook. When I went, he mustn't really have kids because there's no way.
Again, one episode a night, man. I mean it. We watch an episode of TV show before bed. Like, after we get the kids to bed, we sit down. We have, like a sparkling water, and we watch an episode of TV every single night. So that's how we got through 30 shows.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to start doing that because we watch a lot of the same stuff over. So I don't know that I have a great category for this. Or well, I do. I lied. I have a very one that I absolutely loved, and you actually brought up that you weren't going to cover.
All right.
And that is season 2 of Ted Lasso.
I was about to say Ted Lasso if I were to pick one for you.
Because it was phenomenal. It delivered because season 1 was amazing, and somehow this season topped it even more.
Yeah. Season 2, I cannot wait for season 3 of Ted Lasso because of the way season 2 ended. So good.
Oh my God. The way it ended was brilliant. And what I thought was what my favorite thing about the entire season was how the person involved in the twist. I'm trying not to spoil it. I know it's been out for a while, but I don't want to spoil it.
I know.
The person who was involved in what the twist was, how they physically changed throughout the season.
Yeah. It's
if you picked up on it, there were multiple times where Aubrey and I were like, what's that symbolize? And we kind of ran through some theories about what it could be, and we were not right on any of them. So it's that good of a twist. And the other thing too is that there were a lot of points at which the characters grew in ways that you didn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, definitely.
Like especially considering season 1, which was a very feel good,
Yeah, boy, season. Especially like Jamie, right? Wow, came out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly, right? And like some of course, everybody's favorite, Roy Kent and his niece. There's even great story development there with them and their relationship. It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's not enough good things I can say about that show.
Yeah, I keep telling people that Ted Lasso is enough of a reason on its own to subscribe to Apple TV for a month.
Absolutely.
It really is. It's just phenomenal.
And the other thing too is if you haven't watched the show because you're like, I don't like soccer's just the background.
Stop it. Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to like soccer to like Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is a workplace comedy, and that's
exactly
echelon.
What it is, and that's just it. And just the work instead of Dunder Mifflin paper, it happens to be a soccer team.
Exactly, it is not a sports show; it is a workplace show. It's so good. Yep. Sports just happens to be The Office.
Yep, exactly, and oh gosh, that episode with Beard was amazing and unexpected and great.
God. Oh, yeah. So I'm actually going to mention one thing now that you mentioned the Beard episode, because the Beard episode is like a total non sequitur for the rest of the season. And so I want to talk about
the entire show. Like,
yeah.
That episode is just entirely different.
So I want to talk about Dave for a second. Are you guys, either of you guys familiar with the show Dave?
I watched most of season 1.
Okay, I have not. So it's on my list, but I've never watched it.
All right. So for people who are like, what? It's a show about the rapper / entertainer Lil Dicky, real name Dave Bird, semi-autobiographical show. Very irreverent comedy. But the thing is that it's an irreverent comedy that covers some really heavy subject matter, like in unexpected ways. And season 2 has an episode with the pop star Doja Cat. And the episode with Doja Cat of season 2 of Dave is something that everyone should watch. It's one of those episodes like that the Coach Beard episode where it doesn't really follow the same format of a standard episode of Dave. And the thing that it covers hits so hard and it's so well done, that I just think everyone should watch it. And while Potter's talking, I'm going to get the name of that episode.
Now I need to get back onto that.
Yeah. And go ahead, Potter. What's yours?
So I have not watched nearly enough new TV like you guys have this year. I have been lazy, and I have rewatched a ton of stuff I have already watched before. This was like my year of rewatching. Though I did watch some... I finally watched Evangelion, like you guys made me. I finally watched it. I really enjoyed the show until like the very last episode, and then just was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
I didn't realize you watched the series' ending.
No, I didn't watch the series ending. I watched the ending of the two stop on episode 25. Go watch these two the movie, which is 2 episodes,
right? Like
the original 2 episode, whatever. Yeah. When you've got your metaphor for Jesus on a cross going into a clitoris, I was like, what? How much acid are you on?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the ending of that show gets pretty out there.
So good.
But the thing is like the one before it, so good.
And I mean, even the savior stuff is pretty good. I think the thing about it is like you really need to like watch it, let it wash over you, and then go back through it with the context of the series. Like it really, what happens after you watch that movie is it really wants you to go back and watch the entire show again, because it's a brand new context.
Yeah, and I think so. I sat down and was like, Internet, please tell me what I just watched. I found this article that was a really good of like, this is what everything, like, this is what this was. This is because like the show doesn't do a good job at some points of like explaining certain things, and like they leave it up to a lot of subcontext, which is hard to do to pick up on sometimes in the first watch through. Like when I read it, I was like, oh, okay, so I get that. Like now reading this, like, yep, that makes sense. You know, like, so I was like, okay, cool. Again, I really enjoyed it up until that very like acid trip for the last 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I want you to go watch episode 25 of the series.
Yeah,
okay.
If you think the end of Evangelion was an acid trip, oh boy, you should watch the ending of the TV show, the original ending.
Yep.
It is a mess.
I know it's a mess, but at the same, like, I've always found it absolutely fascinating.
It is fascinating. It doesn't make it any less of a mess. Also, boy, the best, it's still one of the top 5 anime intros of all time. Oof, that intro song.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yep. So I might watch it because I just started because I finally watched the Mugen Train arc for Demon Slayer. I finally got that watched.
Have you started watching the entertainment arc yet?
No, only because again, like so when I start watching anime, like if I start watching it sub, I like to finish it sub, and if I start watching it dub, I like finishing it dub. So with Demon Slayer, I started it dubbed. So since it's simulcast right now, the dubbing is not out yet, so I've not watched the entertainment arc. But so was it so you told me your content filter picked up on the Mugen Train arc. Was it when the demon possessed the train?
No.
Okay.
So the thing that triggers the content, and I'm going to try and not go into spoiler territory here. The thing that triggers the content warning is how he comes out of his dream state.
Oh, okay. Got it. Understood.
That's what triggers the content.
Okay.
Warning. It's the same thing that gives Persona 3 its hard M rating.
Right. I was wondering if it was like the tentacles.
No. It's more and I don't want to say it right because we will have to bleep it out of the podcast because it's a major spoiler. So I don't want to say it.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. You don't have to say it. So but I am watching. So I'll try and go back and rewatch the last 2 episodes. After I finish My Hero, the season 5 of My Hero, because dub is finally out for that. So I'm currently watching that. And I will say, if you guys allow it, I want one more recommendation because I was actually thinking about TV shows and not anime at all. And Jujutsu Kaisen is like so good. And first season, was that this year that you got me to watch that? Was that this year?
Yeah. And the first season is pretty good, but the second season is incredible.
Oh, is season 2 out?
Yeah.
How did I miss that? That Jujutsu Kaisen is really good. That
show kicks ass. And
I mean,
I think that's a really good. If you don't love anime that one and Attack on Titan are 2 that you could start watching.
Like Jujutsu Kaisen is just essentially Naruto with demons, so I really enjoy it.
It's pretty great. Okay,
so now, so outside of anime and stuff I've already rewatched, the basics. Loki, fantastic. Probably took the cake for my top Marvel show Hawkeye came out of left field at the very. Like, I really enjoyed Hawkeye the entire time, but the ending came out so strong. It was like
so good.
So like when it was like, hey, Winter Soldier, I'm coming for you. Like,
yeah, it's top Marvel content.
Yeah, my top two were definitely Loki and Winter Soldier and Falcon, and then Hawkeye came at a swinging at a left field with that season finale. And then Witcher 2, fantastic. It diverged. It's diverging from the books, but it's strong. It's really
still
good.
Fun.
It's still a ton of fun. I think Freya did a fantastic job as Ciri. I think her name is Anya. That's playing Yennefer did a great job this season with where her character arc went with what they did with her. Henry Cavill is fantastic as always. So it was really fun to watch it. Especially they put my favorite story in from The Last Wish into this season. Obviously they mixed it up a little bit since Ciri is there, but I think they incorporated her into the story from Last Wish very well, and they did a fantastic job with it. So Witcher 2 is probably one of my I think Loki and Witcher 2 are probably my top favorites for this year.
Cool.
Followed by
Loki's a great pick.
Yeah, followed probably by Wheel of Time. I really enjoyed Wheel of Time. I've never read the books, so I really enjoyed the show.
Yeah, we didn't start it yet. It's high on our list, but we haven't started it.
It's got some editing issues, but I think that's a lot to do with obviously the actor that plays Barney up in like quitting right in the middle of production, as well as them being hit with because I believe filming for it was struck right when COVID first started, because that's how long production for the show was taking. So which can be really really telling in the last episode. So I think they had to do a lot of edits and rewrites, and I don't think we got the ending that they initially wanted for the show. But I still think it was a really fantastic ending, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited for season 2.
Hell yeah! All right. Do we have anything else we want to add?
Nope. No. I think that. Oh, nope.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, I'll come over the top and say the name of the episode of Dave is Somebody Date Me. It's really good. So if you're looking for just the one episode to watch of that show, it's really, really good. And on to the next subject, which is movies, closely related.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch a ton of movies this year, you guys. We watched a lot of horror movies right around Halloween because basically I sort of like eased my wife into watching horror movies. She never really watched them before we got together. And she has a pretty deep appreciation for them now. And it's really fun to talk about horror movies after we watch them, now that she's, got a really good appreciation for the genre and like the stories that it can tell and what people do with the medium that's unexpected. So we did watch a lot of horror movies, but a lot of it is watching old horror movies, like things that I wanted to watch. I didn't really watch anything new there. But what I want to talk about for a movie that I did watch and love was Dune. Dune was phenomenal. Probably my favorite movie that I saw this year.
Still haven't seen it.
It was fucking beautiful.
Still haven't seen it. I'm going to wait.
How do we kick Chris out?
I'm waiting. I want to wait. I want to wait until the second one comes out.
It's on the small screen and it's not as beautiful.
I want to wait until the second one comes out and I can watch both of them together.
Oof, it's going to be a while.
You're doing yourself a disservice, sir.
Maybe, but that's fine.
No, 100% you are doing yourself a disservice.
I know the story. I've seen the
That's
Patrick
all the more
Stewart
reason to
one.
go see it then.
That's
all the more reason that your plan is terrible.
I don't care.
Also, the David Lynch movie hardly counts as Dune.
And I love David Lynch, and yes.
That movie is terrible.
I think I watched that movie last year, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
I've read the book 4 times in my life, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" The movie's awful. Jeez. Oh, I'm gonna get a ton of flack for not mentioning this TV show, guys. So I'm going back to mention Arcane. Just want to mention that as a thing.
That was the League of Legends one, right?
It is the League of Legends show. Yeah. I just want to mention that as a thing people should have on their radar. If for no other reason than the animation is ridiculous. And the story is pretty sweet too. But anyway, other movies. I don't know, man. I feel like it's really hard to distinguish movies that came out this year from movies that came out last year because I've watched so few movies. So I'm going to need your guys' help.
I mean, sadly, with movies, unless it was a Disney movie or a Marvel movie, I pretty much didn't watch it this year.
Oh, yeah, Shang-Chi. That was pretty dope. Was that this year? No,
that was
last year.
Yeah, that was like 2 months ago, dude.
Yeah.
Was it? No.
Yes, it was.
Came out in October.
March.
No,
Shang-Chi?
Nope.
No,
March
was after Black Widow, and Black Widow was in May.
Oh, man.
It came
It
came out in October, man.
All right. Shang-Chi was pretty sweet. It was maybe a touch long, but super cool.
Yeah.
But still not better than Dune. Boy, Dune was incredible.
No. I'm sorry.
So, Potter, what was it that you saw that you liked then?
Me?
Yeah.
To me, out of every movie I saw this year of everything, Spider-Man, No Way Home, like fuck everything else. That movie was amazing.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. Uh-oh.
Oh no, it was
Kick him out.
Yep.
Kick him out. Kick him out.
Yep. It's just gonna be me the rest of the night. Sorry, guys. Oh wait, but I haven't watched Loki or Shang-Chi yet, so I guess we're all out.
No more show. Bye.
Hiring 3 hosts.
Man, you just got to watch the first half hour of Shang-Chi. There's like a specific fight sequence that's like the coolest fight sequence in almost all of the MCU that happens in the first half hour. And you'll be so hooked.
In no way is it me going, oh, I don't want to watch it. I just haven't
watched it yet. Yeah,
it's on Disney Plus. We had plans to go see it. I know, we had plans to go see it at the drive-in with Jungle Cruise. And we were supposed to go with some friends, and they canceled on us, and we never made it out.
You know what? Fuck critics. That movie was fun too. Jungle Cruise. I did watch that.
That's another one I need to put on. I know again, it's on
Disney Plus, bro.
I know
it's dumb. It's real dumb, but it's also fun.
Yeah, and again, that's all I wanted from again. It's the Jungle Cruise. It's a dumb ride, but that's what I want from that ride.
Yeah, they really Pirates of the Caribbean it though. Like they're trying to recapture that magic.
But I'm okay with that.
It's like a real pulpy, like Romancing the Stone, Indiana Jones style movie, but it's good though. It's real good.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Like it's a ride based off of doing bad puns.
Yeah, and look, and they don't lose that either. That is incorporated in a very cool way.
I saw the trailer when Dwayne goes the backside of water. I was like, please let that not just be the trailer, and please let that be in the movie.
Oh no, it's the whole movie. Yeah. He does it whole movie.
And again, I'm okay with that. Like that's all I want from that movie.
Yeah,
not every movie has to be art like Dune.
Exactly. I went into Jungle Cruise being like, this could be a fun movie, and when the credits rolled, I had a smile on my face. So that's all that matters.
Yep. This is the movie you turn your brain off and just have a good time.
Yeah, and I watched it on a sick day. Like I was at home feeling miserable, and I was just like, okay, I'll watch this, and it was pretty great.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll end up watching it because my parents are coming next week. So I don't think my mom's watched it yet. So I'm sure I'll end up watching it next week with them.
Can recommend. All right, so we've talked about all our movies, although maybe not about Dune enough.
I didn't go.
Oh, Paul, I'm sorry, Paul, go.
My favorite movie of the year, absolutely, The French Dispatch.
Predictable choice from Paul.
Absolutely, but it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Just with the structure of it, it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it, but obviously it's still in the theaters, right? And I haven't really been out to the theaters at all. But that movie looks cool, and one of probably the most celebrated directors of our time. So not super hard to see that.
No, it was really good. And when I was watching it, I was trying to figure out if it was like it was somehow both the most Wes Anderson film and the least Wes Anderson film.
That's an interesting distinction.
Yeah, and I was sitting there being like, seriously, how is this so him, but he's also finding new stuff to do that he hasn't done before?
Sure.
So it gets a thumbs up from me. Go see it. And I second Potter on the Spider-Man thing. If I can have a fun movie and a more artsy movie, Spider-Man is just fantastic, and it made me sad about Rise of Skywalker. So
really,
yeah, it made me really sad about Rise of Skywalker. But that's something that we can only talk about after you've seen the movie.
After I've seen it. All right, cool. And I'm glad to not talk about it right now.
Yep. All right. Yes, now we can move on from movies.
All right, so let's video games. What do you think? Video games? Did either of you guys really play any video games this year? That's the first question.
I picked up Tony Hawk. Does it count?
Yeah, hell yeah. The Tony Hawk, the remake on Switch or whatever? Or on any system, I guess?
Tony Hawk, the Tony Hawk 1-2 remake. I really like all the video games I picked up this year were like for my kids. I didn't pick up any new video games for me at all this year. Nothing. Not a single
That's
video
not
game.
true. You were lying, sir.
You
were 100% lying to us.
What new video game did I pick up?
Because the only video game I purchased this year, you also purchased.
Fair. That is valid.
Right.
I forgot. I did pick up New World and played New World for a while.
How was that?
That is valid. It was the Amazon's MMO that they did. So
yeah, I like that it kind of lets you play however you want.
I stopped playing real quick. I got bored. Real quick.
It's not like it's not obviously not going to be World of Warcraft.
I mean, I stopped playing that too. So
I don't play video games much these days anyway. So the fact that I do anything with it is it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean,
Kev? Go ahead.
No, I mean, I picked up the new Pokemon game for my kids. But I mean, I'll eventually play that myself. But
super meh.
New Pokemon game, the remake of
super meh. Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they didn't do enough with those remakes. They're fine, I guess.
Yeah.
So for me, the only game that I really feel like I can really mention as a thing that I purchased this year that I was blown away by was Metroid Dread.
I heard that was good.
Well, game kicks all sorts of ass. Very, very good game. Other than that, a lot of what I played was old stuff, man. I played a lot of Hades, I think, this year. I don't remember if Hades came out last year or this year, but I certainly have played it plenty across the 2 years. I played it plenty this year, and if it came out last year too. And would say Hades is, if you haven't played it by now, please fix it. I think it's out on everything at this point. It's not just a Switch and PC thing. You can get it anywhere now, and it's so good. And outside of that, I bought this game, the Mario vs. Rabbids game, because it was $14. Dude, it was $14, and I was like, what is this? Like, it's got like an 8 across like Metacritic. Like, what is this game? And it turns out it's XCOM, but with Mario characters, and they have guns. That's
fantastic.
The weirdest thing.
So the sequel's coming out next year.
Yeah. I know. And that's the other reason I bought it. They announced the sequel. That was the thing, right? Them announcing the sequel and then the original going on sale for $14. I was like, okay, I'll give this game a shot. And I just played through it in 4 sittings. It was incredibly fun.
It's so much fun to play that game.
Yeah. So if you're still sitting on the fence, whew.
Yeah. I like
totally
tactics games. I like tactics games like that. Well, so like that's one I'm excited for next year. Like Square's got their new tactics game coming out next year that I'm excited for. Like 2022 is looking like it's going to be a real good year
boy, because we got Triangle Strategy. So Triangle Strategy, that's the game you're talking about.
Yeah, Triangle Strategy.
Mario vs. Rabbids and Advance Wars. Whew, well, it's going to be a good year for that type of games.
There's so many other games that are coming out next year too. Like I saw a list. It was just like, especially like for me, the games I like playing for the most part are RPGs, and like 2022 is a stack.
It's looking stacked
for RPGs.
Yeah, it's looking stacked. And not, I mean, that's not even to mention Breath of the Wild too, right?
Whenever that comes out,
it's next year. Yeah, it's next year. Anyway, nice. Paul, video games. You play any?
Like I said, I mean, in all honesty,
you did say it was just.
I bought New World, and I don't think I've played any other video game other than that.
All right, and that's fine.
They're just not on my radar these days.
Yeah, so, and I think it's one of those things, right, where like I fall in and out of it. Like in 2020, I played 240 hours of Animal Crossing. I know because it's a permanent mark of embarrassment.
I mean, everyone put that or more. I know.
What pandemic did you experience if you didn't play hundreds of hours of Animal Crossing?
Nintendo made so much money at the beginning of the pandemic because, like, at the beginning of the pandemic, that's when I went on the look for the Switch Lite because I had just sold.
Dude, Animal Crossing was like 2 weeks into the pandemic. It was like March 23rd.
Yeah, because I bought Animal Crossing when it first came out, and then my kid's birthday were in April, and I had sold my old car that broke down. I sold it for parts, and I sold it for like $300, $400 or whatever. So I had enough money to I was like, cool, I'll buy the kids a Switch Lite, and I still got a bunch of money left over, and
sure,
and I went on the hunt for them, and I couldn't find them anywhere. Like Nintendo made bank between everybody wanting the Switches, between Animal Crossing. Like, they made so much money because of this pandemic, man.
It's true. It's really true.
So
okay, guys.
So what's next? Yeah. So we've done board games. We're on to board games now.
Yeah, board games is like the thing we love, and I can't mention card games. Ugh, you guys, I played hundreds of games the game.
You can talk about. I guess we did limit you to board games. Yes, never mind.
Yeah. One of you guys go first.
So, Paul, what board games have you played this year?
I want to talk about one I haven't played yet, but I'm looking forward to.
Okay,
and that is Golden Girls Clue.
Oh, come on.
I need to know who ate the last piece of cheesecake.
You are the fucking worst.
Hey, I bought him that.
Right. Yep. It is actually right here next to me.
That was his birthday present.
It was an amazing birthday present.
Yeah. I have 3, possibly 7 board games I'd like to talk about.
Well, if you do 3, just count one as Potter's and one as mine.
No, I have one.
Or do you have one?
I have one.
Okay.
Potter,
okay.
Well, then
you can count one of them as mine.
Sure. I'll count this one as yours as well too. So the game that I picked up this year that I wanted to talk about the most was Flesh and Blood.
Hell yeah!
There you go.
Thank you for helping me break the rule, boy. Flesh and Blood.
Oh no, that's I got the Ted Lasso in there. I figured one of us was going to get Flesh and Blood in there for you.
I have avoided playing trading card games for a long time, just because I didn't enjoy my time with Magic when I was younger. And you guys convinced me. I've had a lot of fun playing it. I play super casually. I just like cracking packs. It's fun, and just sitting. It's been a lot of fun playing it and doing stuff and hanging out and getting quick games in. So I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So thank you for getting me into it.
Hell yeah. I played 123 games this year, you guys, of Flesh and Blood. I just looked. 123 tracked matches.
I've probably played like 15. Maybe.
but it's great.
Yeah, but I bet they were all fun, and like me, it's not our typical gaming, and it's fun.
Yep.
I do recommend it. There's a reason why we didn't let Chops talk about it, because he talks about it all the time.
Yeah, I do. I talk about it incessantly. It's just, oh God, it's so good. Anyway, so the board games I want to talk about, not a new board game this year. I got it at the tail end of last year, and played it, into the double digits of times this year. And that is Quacks of Quedlinburg. I'm going to go on record saying that as of, today, late December 2021, that Quacks of Quedlinburg is the best family game ever made. Like, hands down, period. There's not even a question. Like, it's the kind of game that I think 10 years from now we'll talk about in the same light that we talk about games like Settlers of Catan and Pandemic and Ticket to Ride. I think Quacks of Quedlinburg will be in that territory in the next 5 to 10 years. Because it's the kind of game that, like, once you play it, people around you start talking about it, and then those people buy it. Like, I was at my board game store today, actually, to pick up some card sleeves, and they sold a copy of Quacks while I was in there, and I was just like, hell yeah. It's so good. And have either of you guys played that or had me explain it to you yet?
No, but I literally Googled Quacks, and it's the number 2 Google.
All right. So Quacks of Quedlinburg is a game where you are playing basically crackpot apothecaries trying to make the best possible potion that you can. And the way that works is you have a bag, and the bag has ingredients in it that are chits that are all the same size and shape. And you have a pot in front of you. And what you're basically doing is blind pulling chits out of your bag and putting them onto your pot based on the number on the chit. That's how far it goes up in the pot. And all of the ingredients have special effects. And the special effects are variable. So we'll just know that each chit can do different things as you pull it out of your bag. But, and this is the big but, one of the ingredients that you must have in your bag is volatile. And if at any point you go over a value of 7 in that particular ingredient, your pot busts and you lose one of your end of round bonuses. So it's like stack the deck blackjack, and all the cards have special abilities. It is incredibly fun. Like, and the other thing that's really great about it is, like, skill counts for something, because there's a little bit of strategy in the things that you buy, but, like, for the most part, it's a straight up luck based game, right? It's a total push your luck game, and you're counting and you're like, okay, how many more of the volatile chips do I have? Like, how many more explosive ingredients do I have in my bag? Like, how risky do I want to be to reach in and try to get a little further into my pot and brew a little bit of a bigger potion? And it's basically like all the fun of Las Vegas with none of the risk. And it's the only game I feel like that every time I play it, the table erupts in laughter, like every single time. Highly recommended.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, that's Quacks of Quedlinburg. Also plays good at 2, 3, and 4 players. So you should buy Quacks of Quedlinburg. I'm really shocked that I haven't mentioned that to you guys yet.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. I mean, so, because how old your youngest
11.
is?
Oh, she can't play that.
Yeah,
she can't play it yet.
Because my youngest
3, almost 4-year-old can't do it.
Yeah, it's like my youngest is 7, and this one's
too young.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I would say 10 to 12 is or maybe 9 to 12. That's like a really clever 9-year-old would pick it up, but like 10 to 12 would be where I would start introducing Quacks.
See, that's where I'm struggling with a lot of things right now, because, like, since it's just me and the 2 kids, like, I try to make sure whatever we're doing, all 3 of us can interact and do things together.
Sure.
And yeah. I'm running into this, like, I'm in this area now where, like,
Millie Marvel United.
Yeah, like, Millie's the appropriate age for a lot of this stuff, but, like, Lucas is just a little too young. Like, he's just right on that edge, because he'll be 8 in April. So, like, he's just in that gray area for a lot of it.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't buy Quacks of Quedlinburg, because it rules.
Yeah.
So my other two choices I want to talk about are, one of them I want to talk about because it's lesser known. It's called Mercado de Lisboa. It's by my favorite board game designer, Vital Lacerda. It's just like an incredibly thinky game. Like, it's a game that gives you, like those games that just really start making your brain crunch. Like, you look at the board and you're like, for like 30 seconds. It gives you like a very concentrated dose of that only lasts 40 minutes. So like, even a 4-player game of Mercado de Lisboa is not going to go over 40 minutes. It's just, the game's on a pretty strict timer based on the limited availability of spaces on the board. And every turn someone's taking a space. So the game's on a clock from the minute you start it. And it's just magnificent. It's such a good game. Highly recommended. And the other one I want to talk about is Final Girl. And I want to talk about Final Girl.
Yeah, you've been playing this one a good bit.
A lot. Yeah, I got it like 3 weeks ago, and I've played it 7 times already.
Is that the one you sent pictures of?
So I can't look.
Yeah, yes, is that the one you sent pictures of when you were in your office the other day?
Yes. And so the way Final Girl works is it's a solo game, solo only. This is a 1-player only board game. So I think there's something to be said about that. I feel like there's some sort of stigma on solo games, but honestly, I don't know how it's different than playing a role-playing game on your computer, right? It's just a single-player gaming experience, albeit a tactile one, right? Because it's a board game. And what Final Girl is it's a rule set. So, and it's a rule set the same way that, like a role-playing game is a rule set, and then you can stack things on it. And the way that Final Girl works is there's a set of rules that has to be adhered to. And half of the components that you need to play, so like your dice and status tokens and stuff like that, come in the core box that the rules come with. But then what you buy are movie packs. And the movie packs have a villain, a location, and 2 final girls. And that's the character that you play as. And the format of the game is it's you versus the villain so you're trying to help survivors that are in the area as you can, on the map as you can, but also kill the killer. And even if you and the killer die during the same turn, you still win because it's a noble sacrifice. And every villain, I can't believe how much variation they got. Like the Jason analog feels like Jason. The Freddy analog feels like Freddy. The one that I'm working on right now that I'm really liking, the killer, is called Geppetto. And so it's kind of like a puppet master situation where you have Geppetto as the killer and he puts out like killer puppets, and it's in a carnival, is the theme. But the thing is, you can mix and match girls, locations, and killers. So if you want, for example, to have the Freddy analog at the Camp Crystal Lake analog, you can totally do that. So you can have it as like, instead of Jason, tracking down campers, it's like the next nightmare in a campground. Right. And so there's just this like incredible amount of replayability. And again, just the variation that they have between the killers, like, and it's taken me, I would say my win rate, I've only won 2 games in the 7 that I've played, and one of them was very lucky. So I think that your overall win rate in this game is going to be between 15 and 20%. Yeah, 15 and 20% is probably, so you're going to lose way more than you're going to win. But I think that's good, right? It's supposed to be a hard game. It's supposed to be challenging. And I think just given that the challenge is there, that on its own increases the replay value, because you're going to play each killer in their home turf, and it's going to take you some time to figure out that killer's behaviors, because they have their like sort of behavior decks. And even then you shuffle, that's called a terror deck, and you shuffle terror from the location and the killer, and you don't know exactly which ones you're going to get in what order. So like trying to learn and predict the behaviors and figure out what the best strategy and how to like manipulate each map for each killer even is a totally unique experience. So you can just have a ton of fun playing and replaying this game. And that's my like main thing I want to talk about, because this pandemic's not over. I don't know when it's going to clear. And Final Girl is a thing that you can bust out at your house when you're by yourself and play it. So super cool, highly recommended.
Very cool.
Also, if you like horror movies like me, it's a fever dream of a thing. Like I thought Don't Look Back was cool, and Don't Look Back is very cool. The Final Girl is just so rad because of the way it's like designed to be played solo. Yeah, that's it for me. I think that gets us all the way around, right? That covers all the topics you want to talk about.
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
so we did talk about one thing one thing we wanted to maybe add this year was hobbies that we got into this year.
Yeah.
That
we hinted
aren't
at ours at the beginning.
Yeah, that aren't necessarily miniatures related.
Yeah. Paul, did you have anything that you really got stuck into this year?
Yeah, I just to be able to spend more time together and do things. My wife one day suddenly was like, "Hey, let's build Legos. I think that might be fun." And we literally went out and bought I got a car and a Baby Yoda blockhead thing. And so just to see if it was something that she would like, because we tried puzzles and that didn't go well. So we figured maybe this would work since there's instructions. And she really liked it. So we've been, I am currently surrounded by a lot of Legos. It basically turned into the equivalent of a miniatures pile of shame for a little bit.
Yeah, that's okay though.
Yeah, because we kind of are now tackling different sets, and she's currently working on the Disney World castle.
Oh, sweet! You guys got that?
It's it was the third one she bought, Kevin.
Oh, all right. So you're working through the backlog now.
It's Aubrey. Do you expect anything different?
No, right. I remember looking at that kit with Aubrey at Disney 3 years ago, however long that was ago.
Well, yeah, so that was the third one she bought. But the thing is, it's 4,000 pieces. Yeah. And so she was I'm not ready for that. So it kind of sat over there as building into it. Yeah. Yep. And so we're on bag one, and I feel like it's a pretty uncommon thing, but there were some missing pieces.
Oh no.
Yeah. So and I got the missing pieces from Lego. They're very good about it. They get them out quickly. And so we put them in and we turned the page and we needed 3 more.
No.
Because when we were like, oh crap, we're missing pieces, and in the search for pieces, then I went right to the get the stuff. Neither of us thought about checking the rest of the pages for that bag to see if there were more.
Oh no! So you were missing more from that bag. Hopefully, it's just that bag.
And it's all this. It's all the same piece. So clearly, 5 of these things just didn't make it in.
Got it.
So we're kind of in limbo with the castle, but it has begun, and so far it's pretty awesome.
Also, disc golf, right?
Yeah. I mean, technically, I picked it back up last fall, but I really got pretty hardcore into it this year. I've been playing a lot during the summer. I was out 3 days a week playing.
Yeah, I was about to say you were out a lot this summer.
Yeah. I think I have. I think I checked, and I'm at 78 rounds this year.
Ooh, that's like me in Flesh and Blood in terms of time.
Yeah,
that's a time commitment. Yeah.
Yep. And some of those rounds I started playing at a place where you can play 2 courses, and they have 2 holes that are basically right next to each other, because one course is all in the woods, the other one's more in open field. So you play all 36 holes. So, I do that in 1 round. But, with the times that I've been there, really that's, 2 courses. So,
yeah.
I've played a lot of disc golf, and I've gotten okay-ish at it, which is kind of exciting, because I can look back at my stats from last year and go, wow, I've gotten somewhere. Plus, it gets me out of the house. And yeah, my wife said it makes me very happy and that I'm in a much better mood when I'm playing regularly. So she's always like, please leave, go play. So every time I come home from that, I say, how was your boyfriend? So, all right. Yeah. So that's it. Those are my two things, but yeah, and it's good to be getting outside.
For sure. All right. And Potter, for you and I, it's the same thing.
It is the same thing. I finally listened to you and was like, hey, I like building models and just building models. And Kevin was like, hey, Gundams are like $20. You should try it out. And I tried it out, and now I have like 5 kits.
Yeah, and I mean, it was kind of the same for me. I had built one Gundam kit like a while ago. It was like a long time ago, and it was something that I built for Gamma Wolves. And I bought the kit just to see if I wanted to put together, a bunch of... And it wasn't even a Gundam that I bought. It was like a 30-minute mission Bandai kit. Right. So Gunpla, but not a Gundam.
And that's what I did too. Like, I bought Tanjiro, like a Bandai kit, but not a Gundam. Like, I bought an anime kit.
For sure. And I didn't know how I would like it. And even when I built it, I was like, man, that was really fun. And I enjoyed it. But it's kind of like, when you do something, like when you find a band and you listen to a record and you're like, yeah, that was a pretty cool record, but you don't listen to it. And then like 2 or 3 years later, you just put it back on and it hits, right? It just gets you the way that it maybe didn't get you the first time you spun it. And that's kind of what's happening with me with Gundam models right now. It is exactly what I need. And I'm with you. I have now got, I've got the kit that I'm building and a backlog of a couple extra.
Yeah, like I bought...
Because I'm having a ton of fun with it.
Yeah, because I picked up the Tanjiro Bandai kit. I built that, had a ton of fun of building it. And I was like, all right, cool. Let me go look, and I picked up Bazaku and built that. And I was like, all right, this is really cool because... And it was, it was a little bit more involved than a standard miniature, but, it's like, and again, like it still felt a lot of the same time sink as building a model kit for a miniatures game because, instead of building 5, 10 models and cleaning mold lines and doing all that off, like I'm building one model, but much, much bigger. So really enjoyed doing that, and so I went in and looked at, so I started doing all the research, of course, the ADHD hyper focus kicked in. I was like, all right, cool. What do I do with this? And what do I do with this? And like research and then it's like, all right. And then my son saw the Zaku I built and he was like, oh, Stumpy robots. And so I was like, then I was like, oh crap. Now I know I'm hooked because I was like, this is something I could do with him as he gets older. He's going to enjoy it. And I was like, all right. So we went to Target and we looked at a couple of the kits they had there. They had an RX-78 and a couple other ones. And he saw the Perfect Strike Freedom. And it was like, all the wings and the head, the beam saber. And he's like, that one.
Weapons and shoulders. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah. He's like, that one's. Yeah. So I bought that. And then, but I haven't got around to building it yet just because I've been like super busy. And then, and it's just evolved from there. Like I picked up an RX-78. I ordered a Barbatos, but it never got to me, which I had to get a refund on. And then I bought my first real grade today, the other day. Which one did I get again? I got the...
Yeah, we could do an episode on gun... Because, it's like when you're first getting into Gunpla, you have so many questions, and there's like lots of things that seem weird, and you don't necessarily know what you're diving into.
Yeah. But did a lot of research, but I'm full in. Like, I'm in the hobby now. Like, I texted Paul and I told you this earlier. Like, I think had I discovered this hobby before miniatures, like I would have never gotten into miniature wargaming. Like, this would have been it for me because I always enjoyed building models. Like, I used to build them with my cousin when we were kids over the summers. Like, we would build old like Ford truck kits and cars and stuff like that when we were kids. So that's what I was used to doing.
And there's so much other cool stuff about than that though, because you build a truck and it sits there, but these are like fully posable. Like I don't think many people realize that most of these kits have dozens of points of articulation.
Oh yeah.
And like as soon as I mentioned it to Ezzy and she wanted to build one, she was like, I could make stop motion movies with this. Yes, you
Nice.
totally could make stop motion movies with these. They're perfect for that. They even have extra hands and all kinds of cool stuff you can do.
Yeah, I mean, the Zaku came with like what a melee weapon, three different ranged weapons, like a missile launcher, like a machine gun, and an anti-tank or an anti-ship weapon. Like, so yeah, like all the amount of different things that you can do with them for that stuff is like really cool. The displays you can create and just the customization that I've seen some people do are just insane with them. Like, it's a crazy hobby and it looks like a lot of fun. So I'm in. I don't know if I'll ever get super into it as I say it now. A year from now we'll see how far I go.
Yeah, well, so how Aubrey bought that castle, right? Now there's a calendar for when either Kevin or Chris buys his first perfect grade.
So
yes.
So I have so many questions, but I'll ask you offline.
That was like not enough time to record.
Yeah. I was going to ask, and then I realized even just asking the difference between those different grades was going to involve lots of background.
Yeah,
and
we can talk about that. And maybe if people ask for it, record like a 3-man style episode, like a deep dive into Gunpla.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
But yeah, I think from there we can go into final thoughts.
Yeah, this year started off super shitty for me, but it ended up great. And I do want to point out that nobody brought up Book of Boba Fett because it just came out today.
Yeah, it just came out today.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's not enough time to know if it would be on like a best list or if it would even count since it's only one episode. So
yeah, we'll assume this episode will be out in the next month or so. Like, so it could be anywhere from, like 3 to 7 episodes that have come out or whatever. We'll say 2 to 5 episodes that have come out. And yeah, the only reason we didn't mention it is because we just watched the first episode today. And so that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a shitty year ended up good. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I think my final thought's actually identical. It's because it was like looking into the long dark of a looming pandemic, and then finding some surprising joy through the year.
Yeah, it's. I think we've all struggled this year, and it's. I appreciate all of our listeners of hanging in there with us. Like,
they're sticking around. Or like all of the like mental issues that the three of us have had, and the reasons for not recording, and this and that. Right? Yeah, it's
like you guys are awesome. We really appreciate it. It has been an interesting year for all three of us. So thank you guys for sticking around for us. We really appreciate it. So thank you.
Especially when like most of our podcasts this year have just been like rambling.
So
cool.
All right. Well,
thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Chops. Take us out.
Yeah. Thank you to our patrons, as Potter just said, for sure, for hanging in. Thank you to all of our listeners. As always, please join the Discord, because even though we may not be putting out podcasts as regularly as we had at one point, and I think the plan is to get back to that, but we're not right now. We are very active on the Discord. I probably post on the Discord a dozen times every day, and we have a really vibrant regular community. So in the description of the podcast, if you're not on the Discord, please join it, because it's a really fun time and we love interacting with our listeners and friends. So please join it. Thank you to Static as the City. Oh, go ahead.
I just on the discourse, just to let you know how awesome it is. A Secret Santa was set up this year, and it was
God.
The gifts that I saw people were so specific and hilarious. It was
so Paul,
great.
you forbade me from talking about it from the podcast, but the podcast is technically over now. So my Secret Santa sent me a whole bunch of flesh and blood tokens.
Nice.
My
Nice.
secret Santa sent me a bunch of dog miniatures.
Which is like beyond perfect.
Dude, I loved
Beyond
it.
perfect.
I loved it.
So good.
After I opened up my first gift a couple days later, an envelope came in the mail, and I opened it up, and it was the sticker of the Full Metal Alchemist, the girl and the dog, and it just says inseparable.
Which,
because if you
anybody
hang out
who's
on
in the
there,
Discord
I'm
knows.
always sharing
Yeah.
every meme I can find.
Yeah, if there's a Nina meme, if Paul has found it and shared it.
Yeah, exactly. Usually it involves putting it in that Discord and then sending it to my daughter, and then she
And all
yells
of
at me.
us saying too soon because it will always be.
It will
too soon.
always be too soon.
Yes.
It has been
But
over a
thank you to
decade, and it's still too soon.
Thank you, Static as a City, for the outro music as always. And until next time, bye. All right, I'm gonna.